The slap echoed before anyone could breathe. "You are useless," her brother shouted, his voice shaking with anger. "After everything, this is what you've become?" Ikechi stood frozen, her cheek burning, her heart pounding so loud it drowned every other sound. Her eyes moved slowly from her brother to her mother, searching, hoping, begging for just one person to defend her. But her mother looked away. That silence hurt more than the slap. "You think you can just come back here with empty hands?" her sister added, folding her arms. "What have you brought for this family?" Ikechi swallowed hard. I I lost my job. I came home because I thought." "Thought what?" her brother snapped. "That we would carry you now? After all we've done for you?" Her lips trembled. Done for her? For a moment, she couldn't speak, because the truth was choking her. Years ago, Ikechi had a different life. A better one. She was in her final year at the university, full of dreams, full of hope. She wanted to build something for herself, something meaningful. But everything changed the day her father died. The house fell silent that day too. Only this time, it was filled with grief, not hatred. Bills piled up. Food became scarce. Her mother fell sick from the stress. Her younger siblings looked at her with fear in their eyes. "What are we going to do?" her mother had asked back then, her voice weak and broken. Ikechi didn't hesitate. "I will handle it," she said. And she meant it. She packed her books the next day, dropped out of school without telling anyone how much it broke her. She moved to the city, where life was harsh and unforgiving. She worked anywhere she could, cleaning houses, selling food by the roadside, running errands, anything that could bring money. Every month, she sent everything she earned back home. Every single naira. Her friends moved on with their lives. Graduated, got jobs, built careers. But Ikechi stayed behind, stuck in survival. "Thank you, my daughter," her mother used to say over the phone. "You are the reason we are still alive." Those words kept her going. Her brother finished school because of her. Her sister got a job because of her. The house was renovated because of her sacrifices. She never complained. Not once. But slowly, things began to change. The calls became shorter. The appreciation disappeared. And the tone became colder. "Why is the money small this month?" her sister would ask. "Other people are doing more for their families," her brother added once. She would laugh it off, even when it hurt. "I'm trying my best," she would reply. But her best was no longer enough. Then one day, everything collapsed. She lost her job. Just like that. No warning. No backup. No savings. For the first time in years, Ikechi had nothing to send home. Her hands shook as she held her phone that day. She called her mother, her voice low. "Mama, I lost my job. I just need a little time. I'll find something else soon." There was silence on the other end. Then her mother sighed. "You should have planned better," she said. The call ended shortly after. That was the moment something inside Ikechi began to break. And now, standing in front of the same family she gave everything to, she realized something even more painful. They no longer saw her as their savior, only as a burden. "Say something," Ikechi cried, her voice cracking as she looked at her mother. "Mama, please tell them. Tell them what I've done for this family." Her mother finally looked at her, but there was no warmth in her eyes anymore. Only exhaustion and something colder. "We are all struggling," she said slowly. "You cannot come here and add to our problems." Those words landed heavier than anything else. Ikechi took a step back like she had been pushed. "Add to your problems?" she repeated softly. "Mama, I was your solution." Her brother scoffed. "That was before. Things have changed." Her sister nodded. "You should have built something for yourself instead of depending on us now." Ikechi let out a hollow laugh. It didn't even sound like her own voice. "Depending on you," she said. "Is that what you think I'm doing?" No one answered. Because deep down, they knew the truth, but it no longer mattered to them. That night, Ikechi sat quietly in the corner of the house she once called home. No one spoke to her. No one asked if she had eaten. No one cared that she hadn't slept in days. The same walls that once felt warm now felt like strangers watching her fall apart. She replayed everything in her head. The sacrifices, the years, the pain she buried just to keep them happy. And still, it wasn't enough. The next morning, the tension exploded. "Ikechi, you can't stay here," her brother said firmly, standing in front of her like a guard. She blinked, confused. "What do you mean I can't stay here? This is my home too." "No," her sister cut in sharply. "It was your home." Her heart dropped. "Mama," Ikechi whispered, turning to the only person she still hoped would save her from this nightmare. Her mother didn't even meet her eyes. "We cannot feed another mouth," she said quietly. "You need to go back and figure out your life." Ikechi felt her knees weaken. "Go where?" she asked, her voice barely audible. "That is not our concern," her brother replied coldly. For a moment, everything went silent. Then Ikechi stood up slowly. "So this is it?" she asked. "After everything, this is how you repay me?" Her sister shrugged. "Life is not fair." Ikechi nodded slowly, tears finally spilling down her face. "You're right," she said. "Life is not fair." But her voice changed after that. It became calmer, emptier, because something inside her had finally broken completely. That evening, her small bag was thrown outside. Not packed, thrown. Her clothes scattered on the dusty ground. The little things she owned treated like they meant nothing. Just like her. "Take your things and leave," her brother said, pointing toward the road. She stood there, staring at the bag. Then she looked at them one last time. Her mother, her siblings, the people she gave her life for. "I hope one day," she said slowly, her voice shaking, "you remember what I did for you." No one responded. No one stopped her. So she bent down, picked up her bag, and walked away. Step by step, away from everything she once called family. The sun was setting, and with every step she took, the reality became clearer. She had no home, no money, no one. That night, Ikechi slept outside for the first time in her life, curled up on a cold bench, holding her bag tightly like it was the only thing she had left in the world. Tears rolled down her face as she stared into the darkness. Was it all worth it? She whispered to herself. But the night gave her no answer. Only silence and pain. The rain started without warning. Cold drops hit Ikechi's face, pulling her out of the little sleep she had managed to find. Within seconds, her clothes were soaked, her body shivering as she scrambled up from the bench. "Please, not tonight," she whispered, hugging herself tightly. But the rain didn't listen. It poured harder. People ran past her, finding shelter, protecting themselves, while she stood there with nowhere to go. That was when it hit her fully. This was her life now. Alone, hungry, forgotten. She walked through the streets, drenched and exhausted, until she found a small shop with a narrow roof she could stand under. Her stomach growled painfully, reminding her she hadn't eaten since the day before. "I can't do this," she murmured, her voice breaking. "I can't." For a moment, she thought about going back, about begging them to take her in again. But the memory of their faces, their voices, stopped her. "No," she said firmly, shaking her head. "Not again." The next morning came slowly. Ikechi sat by the roadside, weak, her eyes dull from lack of sleep and food. People passed her without a second glance, until someone stopped. "You look like you haven't eaten." The voice was calm, gentle. Ikechi looked up slowly. A man stood in front of her, holding a small bag of food. He wasn't dressed in anything special. No flashy clothes. No expensive look. Just simple. Real. "I'm fine," Ikechi said quickly, out of habit. The man raised an eyebrow slightly. "You don't look fine." She hesitated. Then her stomach betrayed her again with a loud growl. The man smiled softly and extended the food toward her. "Take it." Ikechi stared at it for a moment like it wasn't real. "No one gives anything for free," she said quietly. "I'm not asking for anything," he replied. "Just take it." Her hands trembled as she accepted it. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice filled with emotion she could barely hold back. "My name is Daniel," he said, sitting beside her without hesitation. "Ikechi," she replied softly. He nodded. "What happened, Ikechi?" At first, she didn't want to say anything, but something about him made her feel safe. So the words came out. Slowly, painfully. Everything. Her father's death. Her sacrifices. Her family's betrayal. Daniel listened without interrupting, without judging. When she finished, there was silence. Then he spoke. "They didn't deserve you." Ikechi blinked, surprised. "I gave them everything," she said, her voice shaking again. "And it still wasn't enough." Daniel shook his head. "It was more than enough. They just didn't value it." That sentence hit differently, because for the first time, someone understood. Tears filled her eyes again, but this time, they felt lighter. "Come," Daniel said, standing up. "You can't stay here." Ikechi hesitated. "I don't want to be a burden again." Daniel looked at her directly. "You're not a burden." Those words, simple as they were, felt like something she hadn't heard in years. Slowly, she stood up and followed him. Days turned into weeks. Daniel helped her find a small place to stay, helped her get back on her feet, encouraged her when she felt like giving up again. But more than anything, he respected her. He listened. He cared. And slowly, Ikechi began to change. The sadness in her eyes faded. The brokenness started to heal. And for the first time in a long time, she smiled. Not because she had to, but because she finally felt seen. What she didn't know yet was that this small act of kindness was about to change her life forever. "Why are you doing all this for me?" Ikechi asked one evening, her voice quiet as she watched Daniel fix the small fan in her room. Daniel didn't look up immediately. "Because you deserve it," he said simply. She shook her head slowly. "No, people don't just help like this. Not without wanting something." Daniel finally turned to her, his expression calm but firm. "Not everyone is like the people who hurt you." That answer stayed with her. Days became months. What started as help slowly turned into something deeper. They talked about everything: dreams she had buried, fears she never shared, the life she thought she had lost forever. "I used to want to finish school," Ikechi admitted one night. "Then you still can," Daniel replied. She laughed softly. "It's not that easy." "Nothing worth having is easy," he said. He believed in her, even when she didn't believe in herself. And somewhere along the way, Ikechi realized something had changed. She was no longer surviving. She was living again. One evening, as they sat outside watching the sun go down, Daniel spoke. "Ikechi, I want to build a life with you." She turned to him, her heart racing. "What do you mean?" "I mean I want to marry you." The words hung in the air. For a moment, fear crept in. Memories of everything she had lost, everything that had broken her. "What if it all goes wrong again?" she whispered. Daniel reached for her hand gently. "Then we face it together." That was all she needed. They got married quietly. No noise. No crowd. No family. Just two people choosing each other. Life moved forward. But there was something Daniel hadn't fully revealed. And Ikechi didn't ask. Until the day everything changed again. "Get ready," Daniel said one morning. "For what?" she asked. "We're traveling." She frowned slightly. "Traveling where?" "You'll see." Hours later, Ikechi stepped out of a car that didn't look like anything she had ever been inside before. She looked around, confused. The house in front of her was massive. Beautiful. Nothing like the life she knew. "Daniel," she said slowly. "Where are we?" He smiled. "Home." Her heart skipped. "What do you mean?" "This is my house," he said calmly. Ikechi stared at him, trying to process it. "Your house." He nodded. "I didn't tell you everything before. I own businesses. Several of them." She took a step back, overwhelmed. "You mean you're rich?" Daniel shrugged lightly. "I prefer to say I'm comfortable." Tears filled her eyes again. Not from pain this time, but from disbelief. "All this time," she whispered, "I wanted you to know me for who I am," he said. "Not what I have." Ikechi smiled through her tears. "You saved me." Daniel shook his head. "No, you survived. I just reminded you who you are." Months later, Ikechi returned to the place she once called home. But this time, everything was different. A car stopped in front of the house. Her family came out and froze. The same woman they threw out now stood before them, dressed in elegance they couldn't ignore. Her brother stepped forward slowly. "Ikechi, is that you?" She smiled calmly. "Yes." Her sister looked shocked. You look different." Ikechi finished. Her mother stepped closer, tears forming. "My daughter, we made a mistake." Silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable. "We're sorry," her brother added quickly. "We didn't know." "It's not about what you didn't know," Ikechi said gently. "It's about what you did." They had no answer. For a moment, they all stood there, facing the truth. Then Ikechi took a breath. "I didn't come here for revenge," she said. "I came because I have peace now." Her mother reached out, but Ikechi didn't move. "Take care of yourselves," she added softly. Then she turned and walked away, not broken, not angry, but free. If this story moved you, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more powerful stories. And tell me in the comments, would you have forgiven them?